Okay, I know a lot of you are struggling right now, and that's eating away at me. And guys, I'm gonna be real with you today. I feel compelled to record this video. This is unplanned, this is gonna be raw and uncut, because there are so many people in the entrepreneurship space right now that are struggling to reach their goals. Whether that's getting their first 10K month, whether that's just quitting their job or having more freedom and control over what they do with their working day. Regardless of what that is, I know that when I first started, I made my first million in a few short years, whilst my peers are still struggling to this day. And that doesn't sit right with me, because so many people have the same tools and resources that I had when I first started, but they are still struggling. And so over the past few months, I've made it this self-mission to really understand why that is. And I truly believe that right now I have a good understanding of the one thing that is standing in the way of the majority of people actualizing their goals. And so rest assured, guys, believe me, I understand your position. I've been in the position you're in. And by the end of this video, I'm at least going to take the first step to help you get out of that position and start moving towards smashing your goals, whatever they are. So I have a private student community, and I asked and started asking them questions very recently. I wanted to touch base with these guys and really understand the people that are struggling and the reasons why they are struggling at the moment. And I come to the conclusion that so many people right now are fixated on the end result. And I think the entrepreneurship space right now has glamorized the end result so much so, it feels so achievable that as a human race, we are losing sight with what it actually takes to reach those goals. The grit and the graft in between your current position and your desired position. And I think that's very dangerous. And so then I kind of looked inside myself as to what made me different when I first started out, because I was surrounded by the same space. Sure, it is sophisticated now. Like 5 years ago, the space is a different place. There are so many more opportunities right now, and there are so many more creators and so many more successful people. And actually, I think that doesn't do all a world of good. Yet, I was still successful back then, and I still managed to do well. And I believe that back then, my experience in the sales industry and the way I had been conditioned was the catalyst to why I did well and why my peers struggled and didn't necessarily get the same results as me. And when I look back on my journey before I started my business, I spent 3 years in sales, both corporate, non-corporate, and jobs ranging from cold calling centers, making 100 cold calls every single day, going door to door with real estate agents, literally selling to other salespeople. And I did this as somebody that had just been kicked out of university. I was in thousands on thousands of pounds worth of debt. I think it was like 8K at the time. I don't know the exact figure. I had payday loans, and I was just living this false life. And at this time, I felt so ashamed of that debt that I was in that I couldn't even tell anybody around me. And so I was truly backed into a corner. Not even my own mother knew that I was in debt. I was still pretending to her that I was doing really well, because I just had this ego problem that I think so many young men face when they're young. It's very hard for young men and women, I'm sure, but I can relate to men closer because I am one. It's very hard to be vulnerable when you're like 21 years old. And so I wanted to hold that information back. And so then once I'd been kicked out of university, I knew that I needed to get myself out of that debt. And so I looked around me at whatever opportunity that I could find to make as much money as I could, as quickly as I could. And for me, the most obvious choice was sales, because it's such low barrier to entry. Really, sales businesses will take on anyone because the turnover is so large. Not many people can handle that grit. It's raw and it's hard and it's very difficult, and it really conditions you. But I jumped into my first ever sales job, and looking back on those years in sales, I realize now that that was my unfair advantage when I first started my business. It was my unfair advantage because it taught me what I believe to be the three most fundamental character traits of any successful person: drive, consistency, and resilience. And I'm going to break down these three things more and more over the next few weeks and few months on this channel, because I truly believe if you can master those things and integrate DCR into your being and into your day-to-day life and just make it part of who you are, those three fundamental traits, then you'll be successful in every single thing that you touch. I remember when I first started, I read this book and there's a quote in there that says, and I don't know who this was, but once you yourself are a success, everything you touch will be successful. And I only truly understood that when I had integrated those three character traits into my life and when I had crafted and conditioned myself to be the person I needed to be successful within my business. I think so many people, and guys, maybe some of you can relate to this, so many people are trying to fight an uphill battle by starting a business, putting in the hard work, when there are still so many things within themselves that they need to work on first. Self-doubt, insecurity, a lack of motivation, a lack of real drive, a reason to start the business in the first place, a lack of being backed into a corner, which I believe is so, so important when you're first starting out. And if you are not backed into a corner, there's no real reason for you to do the work because you're chilling already. Life's okay. Sure, you're not in the position that you want to be in, but there's no reason to wake up every morning. There's no one with the gun to your head saying, get this work done or you are going to be out on the street. Get this done or you're going to get the sack. Get this done or you're not going to be able to put food on the table. And I know those are extremities, but if you have no reason for you to make this work for yourself, for you to be driven, then it's going to be very hard for you to actually put in the work that's required to start whatever business you're starting. And this applies to every business, by the way. I truly believe these three character traits are foundational to every single online business out there that you can start right now, and even just physical brick and mortar businesses: drive, consistency, and resilience. Now I want to start off with drive. And as I said, guys, this video is unplanned. I really just want to help you guys as much as I possibly can. And this content style is not my usual content style. This maybe is going back to how I used to record videos 4 years ago. I want this to be raw and uncut and unedited. And if you enjoy this, please let me know down below. This is a brain dump because I feel compelled to record this. So, when I first started in sales, as I said, I was in debt. And believe me when I say I was useless at sales, like truly, truly useless at sales. My first ever day, I remember walking into the office and there are tens and tens of people around and they've all got these headsets on. I've never done anything like this before. Like I'd worked in kitchens and clothing stores and so on, and I never actually had to sell something to someone that wasn't just something they already wanted. This was pressure sales, boiler room, Wolf of Wall Street type environment. They make a sale and people stand up on their chairs and they're all celebrating it with music. It was a crazy environment for someone in my position in those young 20s. Anyway, getting sidetracked. But when I first got into that office and I was first given my script, literally for 3 days after sales training, I was given a script and I was given a bunch of numbers and I was told, okay, off you go. And from that day, I wasn't grandfathered in, I had to make 100 cold calls every single day. Every single day I went into that office, I had to call 100 different people. And I had to do my lead generation as well. And it was made very, very clear in the initial stages that if I don't hit those targets every single day, I was going to get the sack. So not only was I backed into a corner financially, but I was backed into a corner through losing my job as well. My boss had a hypothetical gun to my head. Hypothetical is probably not the right word. That I was going to get the sack if I didn't do that. And so I knew that I had to master this skill. And even though I would go to the edge of the office trembling with my script in hand, reading off this like some stupid robot, right? Monotone, this wasn't my tonality, it wasn't me. I knew that I had to learn that skill somehow. And then I remembered something that I learned in drama. I used to do drama classes every weekend, like every Saturday, just casual stuff. When I was growing up, I wanted to be an actor, right? And I remembered one thing that I learned there, and it was, if you want to get good at like your script, if you want to be a good actor, the first thing that you do is learn your script, okay? Read it, understand it, and then learn the words, memorize them, and you do that through repetition of reading it again and again and again, sentence by sentence, until you understand it all, right? And then once you know the words, you'll begin to understand the psychology behind what you're actually saying. And so I did that, and I got great at my script, and I actually ended up being within the top 3 performers of that company within my first 3 months of joining that company on a skill that I had never practiced or stretched within myself before. And I put that down to being backed into a corner, purely down to being backed in a corner. So I had drive, right? I had drive to do that. And that's the most fundamental thing. You need drive. But I was taught very early on that sales isn't about reaching out to one person in one day and getting a sale. Sales is over the course of the weeks and the months. If you make your 100 cold calls every single day, you're going to make money like him on the board. You have that whiteboard and it says, oh, these are the leaders and this is how much commission they're making. And I'd never seen that kind of money before. It was more money than I'd ever seen. And I was like, wow, I need to get my name on that board. And they're telling me the only thing that's going to get me there is me doing the 100 cold calls every single day. But I didn't really have a choice to do 100 cold calls every single day. Because if I didn't, I was going to get the sack anyway. It's because I had that gun to my head, right? And so I learned that discipline was what was going to get me that end result. And lo and behold, within my first month, I got commission. Sure, it wasn't great, but I got some decent commission. And that was enough motivation and proof of concept for me to actually be able to then go ahead and understand that consistency over a series of days is what got me there. But so many people in this online entrepreneurship space, regardless of your business model, are stuck in the rut of trying to do something, understanding the steps it takes. Like I have said to people so many times on this channel, I've literally given you the exact formula for how you can build a business to $10,000 a month. And I can give you the exact steps. But unless you have the gun to your head telling you, okay, you need to do this every single day, you're going to fail, because resilience comes into play. Because the first time you start, like, I don't just want to use an agency, which is one of my businesses. I don't just want to use that as an example, but let's use that for a moment. An agency is a business where you have to reach out to companies every day and you sell a service, right? Many of you might already own one or be trying to own one. We all know that you have to outreach to companies every single day. You have to reach out to 10, 20 companies a day minimum when you're first starting out, right? And so you try and do that. Many of you might have done this. You might have tried to do that for a number of days. You might have lasted a week. But over time, you get told no. A lot of times, 95% of the time, you're going to be told no. And I think for so many people, they haven't been conditioned yet to face rejection over a period of time. Rejection is something that we naturally push ourselves away from and try and escape as humans, right? Why would we want to be rejected? Why would we want to attract no's? Why wouldn't we want to just get yeses and everything be hunky-dory and happy all the time, right? But nothing you've ever wanted is inside of your comfort zone. That sounds cheesy, but it's like an age-old quote, but it's so important. Like everything you've ever wanted is outside of that comfort zone. Everything you've ever wanted is outside of the yes. Outside of the yes, come here, it's warm, it's love, it's safety. You don't need that in business. You shouldn't desire that in business. You should desire being uncomfortable. You should desire the no's. But nobody teaches you that growing up. Because if you're fortunate enough to be grown up in a family which is very loving and nurturing like I was, and you have friends around you that love you and give you that, you're naturally going to seek that because you know it makes you happy. But in business, it gets turned on its head. In business, you get slapped in the face repeatedly, every single day. And you have to welcome it and put a smile on your face and be like, oh, well, okay, maybe I'll learn something from that. Because you do. Because every single time you get a no, there is a lesson to be taken from that. Every single time you get a no, there is something that you can change. Every single time you fail, you learn that you can do something different. I had 3 other businesses before I started this business, before I was even in sales, that had failed every single time. But every single time I took a lesson from that. And it's that resilience that you only learn over a period of failures. Resilience is something that you can truly only train. It's like going to the gym. You don't get the results within a couple of weeks. You get the results over a couple of years. Resilience isn't something that you get after your first no, or your first girlfriend breaks up with you, your boyfriend breaks up with you. You don't gain resilience then, and you're not all of a sudden immune to breakups in the future, right? It happens when you've been broken up with 10, 20 times. It happens when you've been told no and been hung up on the phone 100 times. It happens over a period of time. You harden up that resilience muscle within you. You get stronger and tougher as you go along. That's why so many people who are naturally older are perceived, or not even perceived, just are stronger than the younger generation, because they've dealt with the absurdity of life over a long period of time. So naturally, as so many of you are so young, and I was when I first started, we're fighting an uphill battle already, because we are not conditioned to be hardened to the no's and the rejections and the absurdity and being repeatedly slapped in the face by business and failing on a micro level every single day. But sales as an industry did that for me. Sales taught me to get no's every single day because, again, I did not have a choice. I had to make those 100 cold calls every single day. And it did the same in that cold calling job. It did the same, even worse, when I went door to door, when I would walk into businesses and I would literally be selling to real estate agents who, if you've ever worked with before, are natural born salespeople. So all of a sudden, there's me, some cocksure 21-year-old kid who's walking into a real estate office. And you have all these eyes on you, 10, 20 people looking at you, and you're pitching them on a service, and they know the objection handle, and you have to be sharp on your toes, right? And when I first started doing that job, I was terrible. And when I first started doing that job, I literally used to go home and call up my girlfriend and be like, this is just the worst job I have ever had. But I had the drive. I knew that I wanted more money, and at the time I convinced myself that money was the thing, and I knew I wanted more money. I had the drive and the grit. And I knew that I'd already mastered the skill previous, which was cold calling. So if I could do that, I could do anything, right? And so every single day, I just got better and better and better, and I learned how to push back on people. I learned how to be quick on my toes. I learned how to fire back at these people and objection handle the objections. I'd written down every possible reason someone could say no to me. I'd written down every possible thing that could go wrong, and I had a solution for that. And so guys, what I'm trying to say to you is sales, I believe, is the single most important trait, or single most important skill that we can, not single most important trait, single most important skill or experience that any aspiring business owner can put them through right now. Because beyond it being about the end result of whatever sale you're trying to make, whatever product you are trying to sell, whatever service you are trying to sell, beyond that financial return, it's those 3 fundamental character traits that I was instilled with, that were ingrained in me before I started my business, that were the reason I was successful and able to scale a business to multiple millions in my first few years. And sales trains that. So I believe that if you are in a business right now, or you're not in a business right now, and you have goals you want to achieve, but you should pick and choose a business model that trains that sales skill. Because regardless of whether it's something you want to be doing long term, the lessons you will learn from that will be applicable and applicable to anything that you touch in the future. Drive consistency and resilience, regardless of what business model you want to go into. And so I think I've decided that over the next few weeks and few months, I want to gear my content around teaching you guys the fundamentals of sales and around ingraining those 3 character traits within you. And it's not going to be easy, and I know it's something that's going to be very daunting for a lot of you, because sales is something that's incredibly intimidating, but know that I have been there, and I know exactly how it feels. And I know exactly how to help you because I know how people helped me when I was in your position. And so I'm also going to put my money where my mouth is and show you that it's not all that difficult either. I'm going to live on behalf of some of our community I'm going to be calling up businesses and go back to my days of cold calling. And I'm going to show you those live cold calls and me actually making money through sales. I'm going to show you me reaching out to companies and securing meetings and setting up deals. I'm going to show you the behind the scenes of what it actually takes to do it. And I'm going to put myself back in those shoes that I was in 4 or 5 years ago when I was first starting my business. Because I think it's very easy for me, and something I'm conscious of, that over the years, it is very easy for me as my businesses grow and I become more and more, quote unquote, successful. It's very easy for me to be less relatable to you guys because I'm perceived to be up here and you're perceived to be just starting out and you're a beginner and I've got an agency that's already got tens and tens of clients and we have loads of team members, and I don't want to lose that raw connection with what it is like to be a beginner. Or not even a beginner, some of you might even be kind of mid-tier right now but just struggling to push through to that next barrier, and I still believe that mastering sales will get you to that next level. And so I'm going to put myself back into the shoes of a beginner and put my money where my mouth is and help you master those 3 main character traits. So, guys, I think that's it for today. This has been one take. You know, I'm actually really, side note, this is selfish, I'm really happy that this video has just been one take. Because it feels so much more natural than the content that I have been producing over the past few weeks and months, which is a lot more planned and sophisticated. And to be honest, I think this is who I truly am and what my true core is. It's raw, gritty content. And I know I have so much of it to give to you guys. And so if you've enjoyed this video today, please do drop down a comment below and let me know, and I will make and record more videos like this in the future and make sure our content style reverts back to where we used to be in the past. Just brain dumping for you guys and providing as much value as I possibly can. Because it's always been my mission to give more away for free than other people will have you pay for. Cool. Okay, just a final note for any of you that are in the agency industry. I very recently launched a new guarantee. I can literally guarantee you that I can help you sign 5 paying clients within the next 3 months, or you pay me absolutely nothing. If that interests you, then click link in the description. You can check it out. And for the rest of you, I'll see you all soon. Cheers.